Member multi-agency team to coordinate the administration anti-corruption effort in a move aimed at tightening the fight against graft and economic crimes. Now, of course, the membership will be formed by the key stakeholders, especially in the security sector, led by the National Intelligence Service, NIS. You do remember when the president was addressing members of the parliament, he clearly stated that he consumes raw information, and that raw information emanates from the National Intelligence Service. That is NIS, the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, EACC, the body mandated to fight the vice, the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution, ODPP, the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, DCI, the Financial Reporting Center, FRC, Asset Recovery Agency, ARA, the Kenya Revenue Authority, KRA, Central Bank of Kenya, CBK, and the Public Procurement Regulatory Authority, PPRA. Now, this will be the 11-member team that will be focusing in dealing with corruption within various key institutions, including Parliament and other bodies, especially within even the executive as well as the legislative arm of the government, to root out the vice that, of course, has denied Kenyans many opportunity for economic growth. That will be a keen focus for the first hour. Also, we'll be talking to our various pundits who are joining us on set. Also, the partnership between the Kenya Kwanza and the Orange Democratic Movement, ODM, of course, how it will pan out before the general election. And then finally, we'll cap it off with the impeachment proceedings that will start today, this afternoon, in the Senate, where the Kericho governor, that is Dr. Eric Mutai, was impeached decisively on last Friday by the County Assembly of Kericho, where a total of 33 out of the 47 members of the County Assembly supported the motion to remove him from office. You do remember this will be the second time the governor will be facing the Senate. Now, what the senators will be convening to do this afternoon is to decide whether the governor's impeachment proceeding will be heard, of course, on a plenary or the committee way, an 11-member committee to be formed. We'll see how it will pan out at exactly 2:30 p.m. Talk to us on our social media platforms at KBC Channel 1 and at Abdiaziz Hashim 2. In the second hour, we'll be talking about matters to do with health. But let me introduce my guests this morning. They are none other than Kimani Mwangi, public policy analyst. Mwangi, karibu sana.
Thank you so much for having me today.
Okay, next to Mwangi, it's Oscar Omondi, governance and public policy expert. Oscar, karibu tena.
Karibu, asante sana, Abdi.
And then finally, Evans Sifuna, a political analyst as well. Welcome, Evans.
Thank you, my brother.
Yes. Let me start with you, Mwangi. The conversation that the president kick-started started at the devolution conference, pointing an accusing finger at the legislators. He also talked about it during the PG meeting between ODM and UDA. Let me get your initial thoughts.
Well, a good act is a good act, delayed or not. It's a good thing to eventually seeing the president form the multi-agency team that he came up with to fight corruption. It is the mendacity in the process that is laughable. Because if there is corruption from legislature, then corruption is a two-party involvement. There is the giver and the taker. The work of legislature is to oversight the executive. So by president calling legislature corrupt, he is indirectly saying that he is the head of an executive that is corrupt, that has been giving bribes to the members of parliament. Well, I don't think the president is well-meaning in this whole thing. I have a personal feeling that he is weaponizing the team against a targeted team, most likely the radicals that have been so hard on him. Maybe he has information, as he said, from NIS, that some of them have been caught in the eating, and it is the payback time. Because I fail to understand how a president who's been implementing a criminal entity called the empowerment program, where he has money that has not been budgeted for, buying inducements to disenfranchised members of the citizenry, buying the motorbikes, all those things we've seen being paraded by his deputy and the members of parliament. We've seen his close allies gift over 10 million in one fundraiser. We've seen the deputy president use close to 3 billion so far in this thing they are calling empowerment programs. that have not budgeted for. We don't know where they are getting the funds from.
Okay.
Then one day this president becomes a saint who all of a sudden realizes there is too much corruption emanating from the assembly, and we must bring it to an end. What he's doing, in my opinion, in fact, he has quite a number of, quite a huge population against him because of his poor governance. And all of a sudden now he has decided to make another enemy from the National Assembly. Whatever political ingenuity this one is, I'm waiting to see where it is heading to. A good thing, but to me it is a smoke screen, it is window dressing and nothing more.
Okay. Oscar, I saw you shaking your heads. Give us also initial thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's a different way of how Mwangi thinks about it.
Okay.
That the president has said that it's too expensive on types of bribery that is taken by the legislature. The legislature has to do oversight, and the buck stops to the president. If it is corruption, the person who has to lead it is the president, and he is leading it. He said, okay, now we have evidence on this. If the legislature want to do oversight to make the presidency and the executive be accountable, they have just to have their leadership and put things correct. That, okay, there are guys here who've been doing this and this and this. If there's corruption in any ministry, it is upon the legislative arm of government to check and make sure the executive is accountable for all their actions and things are done as per budgeted for. Otherwise, we can't keep on blaming the president of everything that he does. He says we fight corruption and corruption is here and we have evidence now. What do we do? Now do we again stop him that, oh, you are wrong. We don't believe that. It's malicious, I think so. There's an opposition that just keeps on opposing everything. If the president, yesterday they were saying the president Kenya is a corrupt nation. The opposition has been on and on. Now the president comes and says, okay, you said we are corrupt. And if we are corrupt, what do we do? Corruption starts with whoever is supposed to protect, the protector. The people's representative are actually parliamentarians. House of People is the parliament. It's supposed to be the protector. And if the people who actually probably, from what Mwangi says, that the executive gives the bribes, and the executive says, probably it's too much now. We have to stop this one. It's things on the right order. Me and you know that there's corruption in Kenya. At one level, almost everybody who operates either business or does anything or moves in our roads at one time or the other, somebody has given a bribe. Will I want to lie that Oscar I've not paid a bribe? I have paid a bribe to a traffic police here and there sometimes when you're busy doing some other things and they're stopped because you're overspeeding and probably you didn't know you're overspeeding, then yes, you do that. Let us be realistic on our analysis of stuff. There's something that how it ought to be and how it is. We have, first of all, number one, to deal with some of these issues, we have to own up. Own up is saying as it is, that yes, so and so and so and so, and I myself have been corrupt. Like the question the president asked, that there was 10 million that was given for you to pass the money laundering bill.
Anti-money laundering
bill. If we analyze that speech, not because of opposition or because of what, and you know, I do politics and I teach politics, and we do realistic things, the realistic way of looking at things. Analyze that speech, that there's some money that was given to the tune of 10 million, and did you receive that money? What is he saying? He's admitting that we gave the money. Yes, but did you receive it? He's even shocked that people don't receive it. Probably the people in parliament, the leadership in parliament, pushed for the executive so that a bill can pass. And that is what happens. When you want to get something like probably a government tender or anything, you know what happens. The people in authority, commissioners and what have you, will push you left, right, and center that something has to be given. But when we come to like these stations, we pretend that we are angels. No, this is what happens, the realistic thing. It ought not to happen like that, but it happens. So What do? We start by admitting. One thing I like in President, even President Uhuru Kenyatta said the same thing, not just President Ruto. He said every day Kenya loses 1.2 billion shillings.
2 billion, yes.
He said 2 billion shillings. Yes. And he said it starts from my desk. He was just admitting that the corruption in this country is not just outside there. Here where I sit. You start by admitting that this is overwhelming. This is the problem that we have. How do we tackle it? Okay. I think at this time, we just need to support the president. And the people who should lead in support of the president should be the opposition, who've been saying Kenya is corrupt, Kenya is corrupt. Parliament, for example, the argument about the NGCDF thing. Okay,
we'll reach to that. Don't go there. Sefuda?
For me, I want to concur with my brothers here, what has been contributed on this topic. For me, I support our president, what he has said, because I've been following him very well, even during the PSG meeting at the Homa Bay. Then when the leaders there speak about corruption, even the recent meeting, what was held at Karen. Yes, I think it was on Monday, if I'm not wrong. I think on Monday. Then the president took the platform and said that the way I understand him, saying that he's not comfortable with the parliament because the parliament, most of the MPs or most of some senior people in the parliament, they are getting backdoor money. So, by the end of the day, for me, the way I understand how the parliament works, and the parliament, they understand the parliament actually has stood with this government, even from day one, even the last year budget. MPs go through a lot of things to make sure that they are past the parliament. So for me, I think, Mr. President, I think what he's doing is a good thing for the country. But I think I cannot support how he's handling this corruption thing. Because when you go to the public, like now, I'm in the public television. When I started complaining about this house, or I started complaining about my brother here, then which kind of message that I'm passing out there? So for me, I prefer Mr. President because he's our leader. And he's our leader. And is the one that holds the government to be accountable. I think the best way to deal with corruption for me, because the parliament has the speaker, the Senate has the speaker. Why, Mr. President, is just invite maybe the speaker and maybe because we have the minority leader, we have the majority leader, just to sit maybe in somewhere and discuss this. Then going to the public and start maybe complaining. Because at the end of the day, if we start complaining about the MPs, I complain to you today. I say maybe you are not a good presenter, something like that. And tomorrow, I need to be in KBC to be interviewed. Tomorrow, the president will come up with something to go to the parliament. And these are the same people that you are complaining about corruption, and you need them to support you to pass certain projects. Because the way I understand, the government cannot pass or cannot run without going through the parliament process. So for me, I think I suggest the president is supposed to come up with a way of handling this corruption thing than going to the public. Then another thing I can add, we need to ask ourselves, where the rain start?
Beating us.
Yes. Yeah.
Mwangi, as you respond also, but tell us, as a public policy analyst, then how is the executive supposed to approach this situation now?
Firstly, Oscar is very right that we ought to support the president when he does things right. I agree with him to that extent. But we are also entitled to critiquing him when he thinks that whatever he's doing is hypocrisy. Firstly, the reason I'm saying that the mendacity in the whole process makes it laughable is Oscar knows that the president assented to the anti-money laundering bill. He made it a law. This he did with full knowledge that that law is as a result of corruption. That while the parliament was supposed to make sure that some things are done in the right way, and they didn't do because they were induced, He went on and signed it into a law. Then he comes and tells the members of parliament, I know you received 10 million to tinker with it, to give the country a bad law that can't help it deal with money laundering menace.
Okay.
Right? If that is not hypocrisy, what is it? Now, the president is complaining about the oversight of a parliament he has state captured himself. Our constitution envisages a government that is formed in conformity to the constitution. Article 3.2 of the constitution is very clear how a government should be established. Now, we know the role of the minority and the majority in the National Assembly.
Okay.
That the minority should play oversight to the majority, as both play oversight to the executive, because the constitutional framers of the constitution understood it is difficult to tell Kimani, who's been elected, say, on UDA, to oversight UDA completely. But because Oscar has been elected on ODM, which is now the minority, Oscar can play oversight to me if I fail to oversight my own government. Now, he state captures it by forming a mongrel called broad-based government, which is an affront to the constitution. He does away with the minority in parliament, which should oversight the majority, then comes to complain that there is no oversight. Again, he's into that hypocrisy, right?
Okay.
It is good to fight corruption, but then we must mean it when we say we are fighting corruption. Now, just the other day, hold on, just the other day, every time Auditor General opens her mouth to report on how we spend our money, we get shocked because a scandal is in the offing, right? He is the head of the executive, belittled with all these scandals, right? All along, he has never felt it important. 2 years down the line, in fact, 3 years down the line, he's never felt it important to form this multi-agency. When all this money has been going into waste, then he wakes up one day and feels, now, is it that we've eaten to the full and now we can start arresting those who are attempting to eat? Or has it just happened to us that it is bad to be corrupt and we need to end it? So when did he see the light? When did he have the Paul moment for him now to change all of a sudden and become the same who starts fighting corruption?
He saw the light in Homa Bay. Yeah.
All right.
He saw the light in Homa Bay. And when he saw the light, you know very well, Mwangi, that we've had instability in government, which was caused by the Gen Z protests. After the Gen Z revolution, we've had things that have been happening. And it needed stability. Among the things that we lost at that particular time was the stability that we really needed in government, or President William Ruto. And I'm saying, if we do analysis, let's be factual on some of the things. What is possible and what is not possible. Sometimes we think, you know, we also a very young democracy. Our democracy is how long? It's not even 60 years like our country, because we had a one-party state up to 1983. Up to 1992, then we've had a multi-party democracy since then until now. And now we are growing. Our constitution, our new constitution that we are implementing is 15 years old. Managed by different people and managed by different regimes. This regime, according to Mwangi, that for the last 2 years, we've had this and multi-agency has not been formed. What is wrong with forming it now? When we realize that, okay, probably the bribe giver has discovered it is too expensive to keep. It's not sustainable. I can be giving you bribe, and I realize that it is not sustainable anymore. And again, now because of the broad-based government and because of, I think, the aid of ODM to government, I think the president has the stability now to call shots and tell Parliament, look, you cannot manipulate me anymore. It's enough is enough. And Mwangi, some of these things must start somewhere. You get me right? The fact that it was not done yesterday does not mean that it cannot be done today. Secondly, president and the executive giving bribes. Yes. Logically, the bribe giver and the bribe taker are all wrong. But again, if the bribe givers say, this is not sustainable, I'm stopping, why don't we just allow them to stop, and when they stop, and we see what to do? Thirdly, Mwangi, about the minority and the majority. Parliament, the drafters of our constitution, intended that Parliament oversights the executive. Not the minority side of Parliament to oversight the executive. No, the entire Parliament. We don't have opposition nowadays. We have a Parliament and we have a legislature. And within Parliament, there's the minority side and the majority side. But even the majority leader, if you go, minority leader is a is like a state officer because he has all the perks that we need because of what we have. We don't have an opposition party, and sometimes in such a situation, people can even cross over. Parties can have probably post-election on particular issues, post-election coalitions. Probably we have a money laundering bill that is going on. What are we going to do? It is a cross-party thing, or is a party that is opposing, or an individual bill. An individual bill, somebody can bring an individual bill, but that doesn't mean that because you're a member of this party, unless there's a party whip, that the party as a team, as an organization, has decided to support that particular bill. But if there's no whipping of the party, then individual members of Parliament have the right to take an opinion of what they want. But I think over this particular issue, we just need to support the president and let the president stop. If the executive that is heading has decided we're not giving bribes to MPs anymore, we go that way and stop at that level, because that is the highest level of corruption that we have in the country. Leave alone the corruption that you will take because of a traffic offense or like this ones. When the executive and the legislature are in bed on issues, then we are all in a mess. And now, at this particular juncture, the executive says that we can't work as you want with the legislature the way you want it to work. This thing is not sustainable. We have to stop it, and we have evidence. And now, that evidence, he says, I'm not going to mention here. Those guys wanted him to mention. He said, I'm not mentioning here. We are arresting them. And the following day, he appointed a task force to deal with it, which is will start the work soon, and will get to the root cause of this thing, Mwangi.
Okay, Sifuna. How, in terms of addressing this particular issue, a question that I posed to Mwangi, but Mwangi evaded, but I'm circling to him. And in terms of how to handle it now, how should the executive, aside from this multi-agency team that is supposed to carry out these particular investigations, the president, what Oscar is saying is true. MPs wanted the president to name those MPs who are asking for those particular funds. He said that the investigative agencies that will arrest these people. So in terms of moving forward and ensuring this particular issue is addressed adequately so that Kenyans, at least at the end of the day, can see accountability and transparency, how should it be approached?
I think for me, I just want to add to what I said earlier. You know, the president is the head of state. That means that he has power in his hands and he has mandate. And I've seen that actually, I think beginning of this week, I heard that there's another agency that has been formed, that which is going to monitor the parliament or to check in
not
the
just
parliament,
the executive, all the arms of the
yes,
government.
exactly. So for me, I think it's a good thing. But I think the approach that the president has took maybe to engage the parliament, because at the end of the day, if you say that the parliament is corrupt, that one I can concur with my brother, I can agree with him, that is true. Kenya, we are known by the corrupt. That one is there. And it's something I think is in our DNA. That one we cannot change. But I think the approach, regarding to your question, the approach that how we are going to overcome this. I think the president is supposed to engage the both house. That means the parliament, the speaker of National Assembly, and the speaker of Senate, and the majority leader and the minority leader, to invite them. For me, I don't agree with Mr. President to go to the public and start mentioning names. And by the end of the day,
he did not mention names.
Yes, oh no, he didn't say, but he said that certain MPs. But what I can tell you for Philly today on this TV, I'm sure President he cannot go ahead and mention any names, because at the end of the day, he needs the parliament. I need the parliament to support the government to run. Because if you start mentioning, like now I say, Mwangi is a corrupt MP. And you know, you need to give the evidence showing that this person, you came to me you had some issue. If it's a governor in your county, maybe you have a corruption cases, and maybe you are coming to Senate to do this. So you want to see me so that I can see how I can facilitate your case to be favored.
Okay.
But the problem is, for me, it's the approach.
Okay.
I think the president is not doing the right way to handle the parliament. Because at the end of the day, if we say that and we need the parliament tomorrow, what will happen when we bring another issue in the parliament?
Okay.
Yes.
Joining us right now is Dr. Mark Matunga, a senior political analyst. Daktari, thank you for joining us. And I can see you have donned the Harambee Stars at least jersey. Wengine wetu tumenyonga tai hapa ndani.
I apologize. I didn't know.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
I didn't get the memo.
Even the public sees that is Geoffrey Rocco clearly stated we should be wearing these attires when they come to work.
I mean, you guys should be fired.
Next time.
So, Daktari, we start on that particular note. You have found us that the discussions were getting a little bit hotter. In terms of the approach that the president has taken, your view on that as well. But in terms of policy, don't we have enough policies to address this particular issue? Because at the end of the day, we have the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, EACC, that is a body that is mandated to handle these particular issues. But the formation of this particular task force, the approach and the policy.
Well, I mean, there can never be a better approach to deal with issues of corruption. There is always a debate, and I think that's why the four of us are here, or the five of us are here. But allow me to make some what can be considered controversial statements. Of course, number one, I support what the president has done, so that's not controversial. But we have known issues of corruption in Kenya to be led by the police. So we've always thought that the number one institution that is most corrupt in Kenya is the police, and then other institutions follow. But if you put the three arms of government and try and rate them on issues of corruption, I can confidently say that the most corrupt is Parliament. Parliament actually is number one, Parliament is number two, and Parliament is number three, and then the other institutions actually take number four going forward. Part of the reason is because, not even just part of the reason, it is a fact, and it didn't have to actually have been done any other time. It's been done now. President has said enough is enough, and the buck stops with him in a lot of conversations. And the issue of corruption in Parliament is known, especially those of us who have been fortunate enough to actually appear even before some of these committees in Parliament, and even the instances that the president mentioned. It is actually standing order number 0001, which doesn't exist, is that thou must pay something to appear before Parliament. That's a given. Even if they are going for a normal committee meeting for which they are paid an allowance, there's always the question is that what's really on the side. And so it's not just basically the anti-money laundering bill that actually came to fruition in the context that it did, and whatever the president mentioned about it. I don't think that there is anybody who has appeared before any committee in Parliament without facilitating that process. I mean, I'm waiting to see which Kenyan or which executive or which private sector person or any other person who has appeared before Parliament without that question being asked. I don't think that there's been any impeachment proceedings or governors or county governments that actually appear before Parliament or committees of the Senate without being asked in advance or soon after to actually facilitate. So to me, I really think, and I'm going to be one of the courageous Kenyans joining the president, that the most corrupt institution among the three arms of government is actually Parliament. And of course, there is the aspect of who then facilitates that sort of exercise. But thou shalt not appear before Parliament if you've not facilitated. Okay. So there cannot be, I mean, back to your question, there cannot be a better way, there cannot be a way that you say, okay, fine,
this is the approach we actually should take, because, I mean, we've always known that there is corruption. So somebody has to just say enough is enough. But I've seen members of parliament up in arms. And my brother here saying that there will be a problem in parliament if they continue, if this sort of standoff continues. I would rather this standoff continues. I would rather even parliament be dissolved. In fact, I think that even forming the multi-agency sort of task force to me is not far enough. It should be that actually this parliament should be dissolved. And you'll see all of these guys trooping back, because in any case, they are there. They are in parliament. Even those who are there as independent candidates are there basically on courtesy of what we call the political leaders. You know, last time I was there, I told you that what we call parties in Kenya, so members of political parties do not really exist. What we have is actually, in my view, political leaders and followers of those political leaders. And nearly all these members of parliament are in parliament courtesy of President Ruto or Prime Minister Raila or their party leader. And so right now they'll jump around, they'll nyef a little bit for some time. And that's going to end, because they're still going to actually do what their party leader really says. None of these guys can actually make it to parliament on their own. I mean, of course, I give it to the independent candidates. None of them can actually make it on their own. If parliament was dissolved today, all of these guys will go home.
Okay. Mwangi, now to the question that I asked you a little bit earlier on. Now, in terms of approaching it, how should they approach it, especially to this task force that has been set up?
Firstly, Hashim, our constitution envisaged political interference in the fight against corruption. What it did, it formed what it calls Chapter 15 institutions that were protected against such interferences. One of such institutions is EACC. EACC does not need propping up to undertake its duty to fight corruption. It needs to be funded and to be left alone to do what it should do constitutionally. It's good for the president to say, all right then, let us assist EACC in doing its duty. But then, and let it be known that I have no problem whatsoever with the president's decision to say enough is enough, let's fight corruption. Mine is to call out a hypocritical president who for 2 months knew that the people of Isiolo did not get justice in the Senate. That money was used to interfere with a legal process to send home a governor who is unfit,
but
if at all that was the case.
Cannot interfere with the impeachment proceedings of the Senate.
He knew, and he knew that money had exchanged hands, right? Forget about him being even a citizen. As a president, as a good citizen, when you know too well that you have information to the extent that Kimani is in the office, courtesy of a wrong having been committed, and you keep it for 2 months, then we have a right to ask you, why were you keeping quiet for that time? That is my beef with him. I have no beef whatsoever with him deciding that we should fight corruption. It is the genuineness of doing so that I question. Right? If Mankes today came and tell us we want to oversee a committee to deforest, then we would understand that they are not genuine because they live in the forest. Now, when you see a person who by all means has been an enabler of corruption in the country, all of a sudden telling us now we must fight corruption, we must ask what has happened. What we needed to do from the word go is to stop political interference of institutions in this nation. We have seen, and this is not a doing of UDA or the Kenya Kwanza regime only, we have seen political elites weaponizing these institutions against dissidents. We've seen EACC go to fight corruption, but doing so in isolation. So they target those who are critics of the government. They're the ones they punish when it comes to corruption. Well, when you catch a thief, whether he's a critic of the government or a proponent of the government is okay. But then how you do it must be in a just way. You don't fight corruption because we are not friends of the government, you target us.
Okay.
That is weaponizing institutions to fight corruption, which is wrong, and which has been happening with political interference. So you asked me what should be done.
Yes.
Let us stop political interference of institutions that are supposed to fight corruption. EACC should be left alone to do its job. And by the way, I'm even wondering, shouldn't we now even petition the president to hand over this evidence he has to EACC so that EACC can do its work? And shouldn't we petition him to do a presidential dissolution of the National Assembly now that he has all this information on how bad this National Assembly or the Parliament bodies, so that people can be given a mandate to elect new leaders?
Mwangi, let me allow others, so given that we're running out of time also.
I think already Mwangi is politically interfering with institutions, because he says that these institutions only target people who are against the regime. Already you are politically interfering with those institutions. Secondly, Mwangi, again, you need to know that these are political bodies. EACC is a creation of a political system, and we are in a political system. All you could have said that these institutions need what we call political goodwill, so that they are supported, so that they're able to. That, for example, if you accuse so-and-so of being corruption and you report it to EACC, when EACC requests you that tomorrow we are taking this guy to court, please be a witness for EACC. Sometimes we accuse people, but when we ask again, can you be a witness in the case that you brought? Then you say, I don't want to be a witness in that particular case. You're not supporting, actually, your own initiative. Number 3, Parliament. I have told you here severally, Abdi. We've had discussions here severally. When we had crisis of life living here, you know, when we had Gen Z, I told you, for this presidency, under this government, and President William Ruto to survive even post-2027, he must take radical decisions, very radical decisions. And this particular decision and this particular discussion he was having in Homa Bay, and they had yesterday, it is so radical. Saying Parliament is corrupt. When Sifuna says that he needs Parliament to run government, and he's saying Parliament is corrupt, he is taking a radical decision. For even those Gen Zs and the people who are calling the president, stop the fundraising, stop this, stop this. You remember all the things that they were calling up to. For them to be addressed, and even austerity measures. Do you know that parliamentarians will just even visit sometimes Dubai to go and do nothing, to go on a fact-finding mission that is not known very well, and per diem is paid on that? That is also corruption. Because even the reports that they give, and so by Parliament, I mean the Senate, I mean the National Assembly, and I mean 47 county assemblies. Even those 47 county assemblies, for them to pass the budget of the county, the executive, the governor must give something. And that is what Dr. Mark is talking about. Dr. Mark is talking about that you cannot attend Parliament committee without giving anything. I personally, as Oscar, have been approached that there's a governor so-and-so who is going to attend a transport committee, has been called by a transport committee. And what Raila Odinga was saying the other day, that Senate has no right in our constitution to invite governors.
What?
Yes.
What is the mandate of the Senate then?
No, the mandate of the Senate is to protect the devolved unit.
Is it not to oversight the governors?
The direct oversight of governors is the assemblies. The county assemblies should be oversighting the governors. The Senate has the responsibility of impeaching governors. So the first line of oversight should be the county assemblies. The people who should be inviting governors for questioning are the county assemblies. The Senate has no business. After every one day, they're inviting governors. The people supposed to invite governors are MCAs at their county assembly. Based on auditor's report, they check the auditor's report, then they invite the governors, because those things are being done at the devolved unit.
Yes.
Then Senate is not supposed to directly oversight the governor. They're supposed to be, when the county assembly has oversight the governor is corrupt or wrongdoing, the county assembly sits down. What do we do with the governor? We impeach the governor. If we've impeached the governor, the final say goes to where? To the Senate. It gets impeached. Presidency impeachment, the National Assembly initiates the process of presidential impeachment. The final thing is done by the Senate. For example, when Gachagua was being impeached, the National Assembly charged him of 8 charges. Only 5 were used to impeach him. The Senate only passed 5 to impeach Gachagua. So Gachagua was impeached based on 5 issues.
Okay.
But the National Assembly impeached Gachagua, started the process based on 8 issues.
Okay.
So the Senate just has the final say. But the business of the Senate calling governor is a money laundering thing. It's something that, like...
Yeah, we cannot ascertain that if it is a money laundering scheme. Okay, Sifuna,
Yes.
given that we need to finalize on this particular issue, I need to ask you, gentlemen, about that particular pact that was formed between ODM and UDA during that particular PG meeting. Your final remarks on this, and going forward, in terms of genuinity and the people, what about the people? Given that you're arguing the president should call both speakers of the houses, the leadership of the houses, then what is in it for Kenyans? If you're going to call people behind closed doors and address those particular issues, how is it transparent to the people you're supposed to serve?
For me, thank you for that question. For me, I think the president, and first, even before I answer that, right now you see the things that we are going through right now because we don't have a strong opposition. If we have a strong opposition right now, I'm sure 100% we had never had maybe these issues that we are having.
But we have an opposition.
Now. We don't have. That one I can tell you
Who are the Mathakaruas, who are the Kalonzos, who are the Matiangis, who are the
you can be opposition,
yes.
But there's a way, the way you handle opposition is not the way that's supposed to be done.
Okay.
Because right now you see this broad-based thing. When the broad-based thing came, you see even right now the theater side is supporting what his president said. When you come to the government side, so these people there, they are working together. So there's nothing that these people can oppose. Anything that comes on the table, their support. It's only yesterday when I was following the procedure, the sitting. That's where I see now the two houses, now they are divided. They are not comfortable with the way president are approaching, or the issue that the president has brought, the regarding to corruption issues. So, but for me, as your question, for me the approach right now, you know, the political like me, as a political or as a politician, you know, right now I can say something because maybe I want to gain mileage, or maybe there's something that I'm targeting. That's why I've said earlier, the approach for our president, the way he's doing his thing, or the way that he's talking about corruption issues, this is something that is supposed to be internally, not as a public. Because at the end of the day, we still need these people. Another thing, the public maybe can say, these people, they are corrupt. It is okay. We agree. The parliament is corrupt. They are getting corruption from the governor, from the whatever organization, because to be favored. That is fine. But now, what about, because you are the head of state, what about you? What have you done? Unless maybe now, what the allocation that the president has brought on the table, unless we see these people, they are in court, or these people, they are in charge. That is the only way now we can say, now in the right direction.
Okay.
Yes.
Let me allow Dr. Mark for the final remarks on this particular issue so that we can move on to the next, given that we're running out of time.
You know, President Uhuru once said that we lose 2 billion shillings a day, which is about 60 billion shillings a month, and that's around 720 billion shillings a year. That is almost 30–40% of our annual budget today. And I want to just correct my brother here, Kimani, that you know, Uhuru said it and did nothing about it. Ruto has seen it in just about 2.5 years or 3 years, and he's saying, this is not sustainable, as Oscar says. It cannot continue. It cannot continue this way. And I would tell Sifuna that there is no proper way of doing it except saying, Tosha Gari, we have to actually do something about it. And that is really what is happening. And I think that I would support the president. Even, like I said, I really think that we should go a step further and dissolve Parliament. And maybe just bring in new leaders. Because like Prime Minister Raila said, what's the Senate got to do with inviting the governors or summoning the governors? Every single committee summons the governors. When do they actually really work? And then when you look at the committees of county assemblies, they don't even have the wherewithal to summon a governor. Why? Because they are all sitting there at the interest of the pleasure of the governor in many ways. And then these members of parliament, they are shocked because all of them are sitting there at the pleasure of the president and their party leaders. And the two main party leaders have said enough is enough. You know, when Kimani says that when did Ruto see the light? Yes, he has seen the light, and it's okay for him to actually say what he has said, and it's okay. Even if Parliament dissolved today, Kenya will not end today. There'll be other leaders that will be elected, and I wish elections were sooner. And that is why you have seen Parliament, or members of National Assembly and members of the Senate and the senators refuse to actually really work on the recall bill or act. They have not done it because they want to make it as difficult, more difficult for all of us to actually attempt to actually recall them. Parliament stands accused. Parliament is corrupt. Parliament needs to be dissolved. Actually, to me, I think that is this resolution that this task force should actually come up with. And it needs to start
that will
somewhere.
be influencing the... let them investigate.
Yeah, but I'm already giving them my view.
Yes.
They'll be collecting views. I'm giving them the views for free.
Finally, Doc, given that we are running also out of time, let me start with you, Kimani. You saw the PG meeting happening between ODM and UDA. They're clearly stating there is no coalition here, but what are we seeing ahead of the 2027 polls between those two political parties?
Well, the broad-based government was essentially meant to prop up a government that had lost its legitimacy after the demonstrations and protests we had with the youthful populations of the nation. Odinga did very well to give legitimacy to Kenya Kwanza government, and I think he's been compensated well enough, politically speaking. I fail to understand how Ruto lives with the usual statements from ODM that they brought in experts to salvage a sinking ship. If I was the president, that is very insulting, because the president isn't short of people who could have done what Bandi and others are doing. It is a marriage of convenience that has held so far. I think when I look at it politically, I would think for once, Raila Odinga is home. I don't see him bolting out of this marriage. I see him supporting President Ruto comes 2027. And I see if President Ruto wins, I see these continuing. But we in the opposition are also determined enough. We have our candidate, presidential candidate, Matiang'i, will unleash him against Ruto, and I can tell you, take this to the bank, that we shall beat this coalition hands down come 2027. We'll do it very early.
I want to know which bank.
Oscar, given that you're running.
For me, on the broad base and the UDA and ODM pact that was there yesterday, all along, whenever we have such a pact, the country has moved and the country has developed. Thika Road was because of Grand Coalition, and you know what happened. And anytime we have such a coalition where we have something like an opposition inside government, there's push and pull, development and the people benefits better. When we had Mwai Kibaki and Raila Odinga push and pull within Prime Minister and the President, you know what happened, and we can see SGR, Thika Road, and a lot of things that happened during that coalition. So those coalitions are very good. Parliamentary systems, whenever they survive in Europe, wherever, you know, most of the time, is the coalition that really works in those other one-party system, or just the opposition and government. Sometimes it doesn't work. I think in Sweden we have something called a moderates. The moderates are people who are not left wing and not right wing. The moderates and its development. Now, we know we had professor of politics here called President Moi. He used to call himself the professor of politics. I think in the current time and regime, the most shrewd politicians in the country, I would say there are two. It's Raila Odinga and William Ruto. These two. If these two unite, game over. It's done. It's done. Matiang'i, like Kimani is talking about, has never tested the electorate. But these two are very sure. And I told you, if the president does radical things are like, tell Parliament, like, they've gotten over. You see, they're talking the same language. There's an attack on Parliament now. And the two are talking the same language to tame Parliament. And Machiavelli says, Nicolo, that the prince doesn't need to be respected. The prince needs to be feared. And I think in this case, the whip is on. Parliament, shape up or go home. The leadership has said, and the two, when they unite together, and I'm not saying, like just Monk is saying, I think they are united. And 2027, it's done case.
Okay. Sifuna?
My brother, there's some few things maybe I can disagree with you. You know, we cannot say or we cannot assume that at the end of the day, if a former prime minister stand with the president or UTA, because the way I see how things are going, these people maybe they are going to form a coalition where prime minister and the former prime minister and his team and the UTA, they will come together.
They are already together.
Okay.
They are already together, but to come to the election that is coming 2027. By the end of the day, my brother, what I can tell you for free, we need people to support that. And if we are not, if the government is not going to put the good policy and get support from the people, there will be nothing. Because for me, I see where a former prime minister came on in this government, just like to rescue. Because what happened, and I can support my brother here, what happened during last year, the Mandamano thing, the picture was not a good picture to the government. So, and the only option was to bring someone like former prime minister to come in the government, maybe the way I think is stand with Mr. President so that to cool the pressure to come down. By the end of the day, if the people they are going to decide, unless you bring someone even senior more than a former prime minister, at the end of the day, we need the support. We need the support or the will for the people of Kenya to stand with you or to stand with the government.
Okay, Daktari?
You know, I have a 13-year-old son who usually tries my shoes, and it's okay. So that's what the opposition is trying. That's another. But in politics, truth be told, it's all about interests, individual political interests, and when those interests actually converge, that is when whatever happens, and that's how we have actually ended up with broad-based government. Because our Kenyan politics, and for the most part, Africa's politics, it's not based on any issues, ideology, and of course, even broadly, politics is about interests, and so the interests of Raila Odinga and the interest of Ruto did converge. It's not just because of the Gen Z, which to me is a big fallacy, and you can invite me one day here to actually talk about it as well. So the broad-based government actually brought some sense of calm in the country, or stability in the country. Who benefits when there's stability in the country? It is the citizens that actually really benefit. And so to me, to that extent, I think it is a good thing. Going forward in 2027, I said this when Prime Minister Raila was going to the AU, and some people thought that, if he misses AU, he will basically decamp from Ruto. And I said that will not happen. 2027, they're going to be together. Again, who's going to benefit? It's Kenyans who actually will benefit. And I want to conclude by saying that if you look at the last 62 years of independence, where Kenyatta ruled for 15 years. Moi ruled for 24 years. Kibaki ruled for 10 years. Uhuru ruled for 10 years. Ruto has been in power for 3 years. What Ruto actually has achieved in the last 3 years is far much more than what the other 4 or 5 presidents have achieved in the last 58 years. And so I don't see where there's going to be a problem.
Affordable house.
Gentlemen, unfortunately, we are running out of time.
If you try to rent houses in your village now, you won't make money because
Allow me
affordable
to
house.
close this off because you see, we have a second hour. Thank you. That has been, wait. No, Mwagi. Unfortunately, we are running out of time. And you know, right now we have chance, so we have a lot of commercial breaks. So allow us to take that particular break. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for making this particular conversation lively. Dr. Mark Matuga, senior political analyst, because you had the chance, Kimani Mwangi, a public policy analyst, governance and public policy expert, Evan Sifuna, finally a political analyst. Gentlemen, thank you so much. Of course, it will seem the political season has kick-started on a high note. Of course, the analysts, you can see even from their conversations here, it will be an interesting one to see ahead of the 2027 polls. In the second hour, we'll be talking about Africa's healthcare challenges. Of course, Dr. Rosalind Nguge, consultant physician and the president of the KDSG, chair of KAP Nairobi branch, is already here in the studio. So don't go too far. That conversation is up next.